I'm Michael Bain, and welcome to Triggered, coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, the glorious autumnal Rocky Mountains, Dragon House Studios, and as usual, brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. You guys have seen this gun before, but I got it out and then realized I hadn't talked about it in a long time. This is a 308. It is an FN Tactical Sport Rifle, TSR, which was a subset, a less expensive version of the FN SPR, Special Police Rifle, a version of which was adopted by the FBI for sniper roles back before they became whatever the FBI is now. I always had a soft spot for the FN bolt guns because I actually won a small competition using a borrowed FN SPR. The gun was just right there. It shot amazingly well. It was one of the FBI sniper rifles. So I like that a lot. This gun is sitting in a McRee's Precision G5 Plus chassis. It was built special by Scotty McRee at McRee's Precision, specifically because he got a couple of people interested in having a chassis gun off the FN Action. What I use this gun for, and the reason I got it out, is it's a test bed for scopes because it's irrationally accurate, always was irrationally accurate. And I wanted to test this Maven Optics 5-35, their RS.4, the top of the line Maven Optics scope. So I thought, well, the ideal gun to put it on would be this one because I like it a lot. So, and I thought, I kind of wanted to show you how it ended up here. It's kind of what I think of as Michael's idiotic projects, right? When I got this gun, it came in this stock, in this configuration. And I bought it to go caribou hunting. Well, the caribou hunt never materialized. Obviously a 308, 24-inch barrel, the FN incredible hammer forged fluted barrel. Perfect for carting up there in the tundra. This is a Hogue overmolded rubber stock that a lot of people absolutely positively unequivocally despise because they say it flexes a lot here in the forend. These stocks for the FN, in fact, have aluminum pillar bedding, and you can see it has an aluminum spine running down to the forend. It doesn't flex. As it came from the factory, had a flush mount 4-round magazine. Okie doke, works. But years later, someone said to me, hey, Michael, don't you have that FN Tactical Sport Rifles? Yeah, sure. And he goes, boy, I got a deal here on the upgrade. The Special Police Rifle, bottom metal, and it comes in yet another Hogue overmold stock, same thing. Pillar bedded aluminum rail up front. Advantage to this particular setup is a little bit better on the magazine. Has 5-round, 10-round magazines. You don't have to like fight with them in order to get them in and out of the gun. I said, well, that's a good idea. So the Action migrated to that one. And eventually the Action migrated here to the McRee's chassis. The reason I keep these other two here is one never actually knows. What if, for example, I wanted to go caribou hunting. I have no idea whatever happened to that caribou hunt. It vanished into the tundra. But I thought, well, what if I wanted to go caribou hunting again? This might be the ideal gun for it, except not in this chassis. Well, there are 2 screws that anchor the gun in the chassis. There are 2 screws that anchor it back in the Hogue overmolded stock. Not a big deal. All you need is a torque wrench and a little time to make sure they're sighted back in. So I kept these other things in anticipation of if I need a long barrel 308 for some sort of hunting thing, some sort of event thing, it's easy enough. But for right now, we're going to stick here with it as a test bed for this Maven Optics scope. We're going to talk about that scope when Triggered returns. Welcome back to Triggered, where, by the way, this week I ordered a set of Oakley sunglasses from Midway, USA. Great price on those. I want to talk a little bit about this Maven optic scope. First, I did want to mention these FN actions essentially are pre-1964 Winchester actions. FN owns Winchester. These are maybe one of the greatest rifle actions ever made, certainly the greatest production rifle action ever made. FN hasn't made them for a while. If you stumble across one at a good price, it might be a good idea for you to pick it up. So on this particular scope, the way I kind of fell into Maven Optics was at the Comp Expo. And a couple of guys I'd just taken the Modern Samurai Project Red Dot class with Scott Jedlinski with, both of them long-range instructors, long-range shooters, and they came up to me at the Comp Expo and they go like, dude, you really need to walk over to the Maven booth and take a look at that glass. Glass is wicked good. And I did, and it was, in fact. So I reached out to Maven and asked about a scope, a couple of binoculars. This is the scope I asked to borrow for a little bit. It is the top of the line, the RS, I have a sneaky piece of paper on the floor, RS.4, 5-30 front focal plane scope. Has some interesting features to it. Number one, it's relatively short. It's like 12.5 inches, something like that. Weight-wise, it's what you're going to expect to see in a 5-30 scope, which is, I don't know, a little bit over 2 pounds, 34 ounces, somewhere in that range. Interesting illumination setup on it. You have 4 levels of illumination in red, 4 levels of illumination in green. I like green, especially in daylight. This particular scope, I chose the optic, just make sure I get it right, SHR-MIL. SHR-MIL optic. Now, the reason I chose the optic was I see this scope basically as a potential permanent resident on my 22 NRL rifle. And I like the way that particular reticle is for competition. Because a key point with competition is how quickly you can acquire the target. And one of the things that we've talked about before in terms of reticles is a lot of times just your T reticle with just a little tiny dot for the center is not going to do it for you because you're not going to be able to pick it up as quickly as you could with a more, say, competition dedicated reticle, which I sort of think of this reticle as. First scope, I had some problems with it. It was too tight on the parallax adjustment. So it went back. I got a different version of it. The parallax adjustment has been perfect. One thing I like about it is the parallax adjusts all the way down to 15 yards. When you're talking about NRL 22, you may well have a 15-yard shot on a little bitty target. You're going to have a 25-yard shot, maybe a know your limits rack where your final shot is on a 1/4 inch wide target. So I like the idea that I can crank the parallax all the way down to 15 yards or all the way up to infinity, whatever. A lot of scopes, especially a lot of long-distance precision scopes, don't have the low-end parallax adjustment on them. But so far, I like everything about this. I put it on the test bed gun because I want to run it a little bit. And with 308, I've got 308 match ammunition. I know how this gun shoots. I know what I expect of it. So it gives me a rock-solid test bed for the scope. Now, I want to show you yet another sight. I wanted to show you very quickly your next red dot, green dot sight for your rifle. And that is this guy right here. It's from Primary Arms. It's part of their SLX series. It's an SLX 1X, 1 magnification, true 1 microprism. And what makes this a great little sight, and I got it because my friend James Tarr, who is not necessarily prone to overstatement, called this sight astounding. So I got one, I called Primary Arms and got one, and you know what? It is a great sight. Let me quickly tell you why, and we'll do a more full report on it later. It is etched on the glass. And that means that even if this battery goes dead, you still have the etchings on the glass. The reticle itself is ACSS reticle. It has a 65 MOA horseshoe, and then in the center, a chevron. So that gives you the ability to both have the gross aiming of the horseshoe for targets that are close in, you can pick up quickly, and the precision point of the chevron to aim for a little more precisely. It also has lines, horizontal lines etched in it, so you have some sense of bullet drop. Obviously, you'll have to figure out whether it's, I think this is set up for 223, but I have it here on this Jim Fuller AK. And it works fine, 7.62x39, you can just figure out where those subtension lines are. I loaned this gun to a friend of mine at a match on Saturday. It was a carbine match. I shot a different AK. His AK tanked, and I said, hey, take this. And by the way, tell me how you like the sight. He absolutely smoked the stage with it, with long, tough shots. And he goes, can I have the sight? I'm like, no, you can't have the rifle either. But he goes, man, that setup on that AK is wicked fast, wicked accurate, and you have sub-tension lines out there. So 13 levels of illumination, 3 of those are night vision. Great mounting system. You got multiple choices. We'll go through this more fully when I have a chance to put some more rounds through. Stay with us, because when Triggered gets back, we're going to take a peek at a new holster. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Volquartsen Firearms. Excellence is essential. Taurus USA. Prepare and protect. Rock Island Armory Arms Corps. Home of the STK 100. Welcome back to Triggered, where we're going to talk in our third segment here about a fairly unique holster that has crossed my path. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine said, what do you know about Tack Rig Holsters? I said, heard they were expensive. He goes, well, they are. He said, what do you know about them in terms of them being able to work? I said, I know nothing. And because of that, I immediately bought one, purchased it, went right online, bought their holster for SIG 365 XL. And what I got was something really interesting, something that I haven't seen before. I got basic setup for a holster on the belt, OWB, right? Now here's what's kind of cool. You see these big knobby looking things here? You go like chunk, chunk, pull them out, and that comes off, pull them out on the other side. That comes off. And then they included a backer where you can actually now take the molded holster shell and fit it on these clips. The clips themselves, one of the things they told me is a lot of research went into the clips themselves, because these clips have a breaking point, 249 pounds, which means it's going to take about 1,000 pounds of stuff to be able to pry this holster off the backing. Now, I wore this holster for a good bit of time. I like it. It is amazingly comfortable, as many hybrid holsters are. But what I want to show you here, I mean, in addition to this natty plug-unplug setup, is the biggest issue with hybrid holsters is you can access the trigger. Oftentimes what you see in a hybrid holster, the gun is here, and you can see the flex in the backing that allows you to get to the trigger. Well, Tack Rig fixed that, and the reason they fixed it is because it's dangerous to have any way to get to the trigger except for your finger. So you'll notice here that the trigger is 100% enclosed. Trigger guard's 100% enclosed. There's no way to wiggle a finger where you can get that on the trigger. Second issue with backings, with hybrid holsters with backings, is that as they wear, sometimes some of the backings, if you're not paying attention to your holster, which you should be, will bend enough to, when you reholster the gun, there'll be a little piece of backing that once again can somehow find its way into the trigger guard. Well, I don't think that can happen with this backing. Now, I shudder to say there's no way in the world to do it, but there doesn't appear to be any way in the world to do it. This Boltaran, well, I forget what they call the injected material that it is not going to wear so much because, once again, it's a plastic type material, it's stiff. The holster itself, backing is comfortable. The idea that you can change out different rigs. If you absolutely love this IWB rig, and you have a couple of different type guns you want to use, no problem. You want to use it as an OWB outside the waistband, no problem. They now have an appendix version. They have a drop leg version if you want to copy all those guys on SWAT on television. And one thing I just want to say is smart, and then I'll let you guys sneak off here. They branded the holster, TACRIG, TR. Comes in a bag, TACRIG, TR. Comes in a box, and what does the box say? TACRIG. And you think, well, of course they did. Everybody does that. Actually, they don't. You would be amazed at the number of holsters I have that I have no idea who made them. I bought them 3 or 4 years ago. There's no logo on them. There's no maker's mark. If you're making holsters, put your name on them, please. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered, brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors, including really inexpensively priced Oakley sunglasses this week. You can find us on michaelbain.tv. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Rumble. Wherever you find us, subscribe, because, hey, we're here every week. We'll see you.